everyone. Welcome to our next episode of the webinars, which will be conducting on about the topic about how to conduct effective commercial and strategy meetings. So basically, this topic is very much essential to the people who are on the commercial lead positions, on the strategic positions, the HOD level. Who needs to understand the numbers, who need to understand the scope of how to conduct structured, let's say, strategy meetings. So we will just go through this, some of the basic topics. I am your host today. My name is Jeyhun, so I'm a director of revenue in the Rotana Hotels. I've been in the similar positions in some other chains, in conducting some of the regional strategy meetings. Currently, I'm the commercial lead, let's say, director of revenue, which is my day-to-day job, conducting strategy meeting the weekly, monthly. So we will just go through some of the best practices as well today. So let's get started. So a couple of housekeeping notes before we start. So we will be sharing the both presentation as well as the recording. We didn't have shared before the presentation, so we will share this presentation and we will add the shared drive where you can download the previous, let's say, recordings, previous presentations as well. Duration of the meeting, I'm just forecasting to finish in within the 1 hour. So it's the maximum that we can do, and after from that we will be having some more questions to come. So if you have any technical issues, questions, inquiries, please use the chat panel. We just we unmuted everybody in the meeting, so not to have the back noise. As I told, we are live in the social media channels, and of course, please use the subscription button and subscribe to our social media channels. So let's get started. Of course, every meeting starts with the agenda. So we will go through the introduction about our objective. What's our objective today? Definitions and the types of the meetings. Let's say about what is the meeting as a definition, what needs to be included, what's the types of the meetings. I have added the life cycle of the meeting and the one model that I am using as the best practice. This is the Kipling model, which was in 1902 years, which Kipling he used this in his poems. Let's say then it was just part of the project management, and it's very useful tool. Let's say it's basically the question, so we will just see how it is applied in the real life. The next topic is about how we will be applying all these topics, all these, let's say, models to our commercial and strategy meetings. And of course, we will go through the best practices. So let's get started. Basically, first of all, we need to understand, let's say, our objective by end of this presentation. So you will be understanding the dynamics and the structure of the meetings, how to define them as a meeting, create and apply 5W and 1H model and application in the commercial strategy meetings, let's say, and of course, run effective, let's say, commercial meetings. How to leverage on these meetings. So moving forward, we will just discuss about what is meetings actually. So as per the business dictionary and of course the old noun, let's say, definition saying that it's a formal or informal deliberative assembly of individuals called to debate certain issues and the problems. I just highlighted with the bold the main points here, which is actually you need to pay attention because this highlights is actually the keywords to understanding the whole concept of running the effective meeting. Of course, so it is debate on certain issues and problems and to take the decisions. Of course, we are here to take the decision. You are in the meeting, on the commercial meeting or the strategy meeting to take the decisions. Formal meetings are held at a definite times or at a definite place and usually a definite duration. So as you can understand from now, how this meeting definition is started to use some of the terms of answering our 5W1H model and to follow on agreed upon agenda. So moving forward, so let's get started. What are the types of the meetings? So we do have two types of the meeting. basically. One of the organizational, as you think about it from the organizational perspective, you do have the one operational meeting, which is actually the regular on the ad hoc meeting involving management, HODs, let's say in a hotel, let's talk about from hotel a specific example throughout our meeting. So HODs or the operation departments, they gather on a specific topic, how to leverage the current operational, let's say, effectiveness in the departments, and it involves like the committee meeting, planning meeting, or sales meetings, or separate divisions meetings, which comes under the operation meetings. An organization meeting, actually, it comes under involving the stakeholders or the stockholders, shareholders, and management, such as board meeting and annual general meeting. So it's all about the general meeting, as what is the two types of the meetings. But once you go to the hotel level, it's operational meeting, and of course you do have the commercial or the strategy meeting, which is actually talking on the more on the revenue sides and the effectiveness of the hotel operations, let's say, in terms of the business model. LC, life cycle, stands for the life cycle. So I will just share this in the presentation. You will have a time to go through. This is from Atlassian. It's a well-known, actually, the board of the questions that you need to go through before you deciding on the whether or not you need to launch a meeting. So basically, this is a map, so you shouldn't go every meeting through this. If you have these habits of whether you should go with the meeting or not, is there any other level of communications which doesn't need to bring the people to a certain place, certain time. So there is, for example, if you go specifically for the example, if you go to make a decision and solve problem, it needs to have you need to always question yourself. It's all about the questioning. Does this need to happen in real time? If yes, it is showing that if it is no, so basically it goes to don't know other ways to collaborate. So basically, if you have a decision and this needs to be done in real time, if yes, you move to another level. If no, you move to another level of the collaboration. Let's say, for example, emails. You send the email and you get it's not a real time, so there is no certain time for the meeting. So if yes, does everyone have enough background info to get it done? So you ask yourself question. If yes, you move to another. Has this been discussed before? If no, fix that first. So basically, you need to understand if everyone is aware of what you're going to discuss prior going to the meeting. We will explain why it is very much essential, because sometimes we tend to think that it's okay, it's just meeting, but actually there is a cost involved to the meetings. And sometimes on a higher level you go in the senior levels, the cost of the meeting is increasing. So you need to always think from the return on investment point of view. It's not about just gathering some people from other departments and just discussing on some topics, but actually it is more about understanding the concept. So I will just send this, you will have this presentation, so you can go through, so I will not go through everyone, but because this map actually describes for the 5W1H model actually, whether you need to ask your question once you decide on the commercial meeting or strategy meeting. So let's move forward. I will just go through the 5W1H model, which is the keeping model, as I told. So basically, it stands for the 5W, meaning why you need the meeting. First of all, you need to understand the concept. What is the objective? You need to answer yourself. What is the, let's say, motivation back of your deciding on the commercial meeting? Is it very much essential? What is the level of importance? What needs to be discussed? So basically, why and what, it comes always together. So you need to discuss, you need to understand, okay, I've decided the commercial meeting, it's very much commercial, let's say, decisions, but what we need to decide, what we need to discuss in the meeting. Is it the KPIs? Is it something related to the immediate decisions, or can I take this decision on the later stage? So when you need to do this meeting. So basically, you need to understand the appropriate time for each meeting. So basically, how much time needs to be done, when day of the week. So we will discuss in this in a minute, We do have the separate slides for this. So who are the stakeholders who are involved to this meeting, and where it should be happening? Is it on the online? Is it on the building or in the office or outside? So you need to always ask these questions. And the last is very much essential, how it should be organized. All this process, all these 5 W's actually commits to the answer of the how. So let's go first of all with the first, which is why we need this meeting. Let's move forward. The objective. Objective is very much clear. You need to understand what is the process. Why you need this meeting in advance? Is it very much essential meeting? What is the level of importance? Is it to make a decision on the real time, as I discussed before? Solve a problem. So we will go through what's the concept. So basically in one slide, we will discuss the whole concept of the W, and then the next slide, application of on the commercial or strategy meeting. So it will be going like hand on hand. Do you need to get the feedback, or can you get this feedback through email? No need for the, for example, for the meeting. So you need to decide the level of importance of the feedback as well. Generate ideas. Is these ideas already discussed before? Is it existing or new ideas? Make a plan. So is it an existing plan, or are you coming with a new plan? Reflect and improve. What kind of business changes in the processes needs to be changed in order to leverage your, let's say, commercial decisions. So at the end, you need to understand the level of importance. The level of importance of your decision to make a meeting is actually deciding whole this journey. So it's all about the journey. As I told, the meetings, it is not only the happening in the one specific place. It just starts from the day one. Once you decide to launch a meeting, because the whole process, you need to understand whole puzzles throughout the meeting process life cycle in order to have the meaningful, let's say, meeting at the end of the day and have the real life results, not just gathering the sales managers or the senior managers from the hotel, let's say, and discuss on some points, but there is no actions involved. You're just going to lose the time of the people and the time and money of the, let's say, at the end of the day, company. So in terms of the application, the application is, of course, in the commercial meetings, specifically commercial meetings stands, let's say, once in a month. Strategy meetings, it happens weekly, let's say. You can decide if you would like to launch commercial meetings, let's say every second month, if you would like to go. Normally it happens in the first of the month where you need to decide what happened in the previous month, what needs to be changed, what kind of decisions you need to take. It's like the holistic view, very much eagle view of what's going on in your current commercial activities. Review and assess the current business opportunities, consolidate the market information to meaningful insight. So you have a bunch of information, you need to consolidate, you make it simple in order to make the meaningful insight. Discuss the new innovative ideas to maximize the profitability. Of course, you need to always come with ideas. You don't want to end up with discussing over the time the same topics. You need to always find out the ways where you need to maximize the revenue. At the end of the day, maximize the revenue, increase the profitability, and reduce the risk. The ultimate goal of the commercial meetings, these 3 main KPIs, let's say. But when you break down, we will go to the what if, let's say, what section of the answer. Of course, another point is to filter out the best alternative to prevent any risks, as I told. So we will discuss about what risks you will understand. As I mentioned before, so basically what happens during this process, you don't go every question one by one. It's just happening, everything happening on the same time on the spot, and it doesn't take a lot of time for you. It's just, if you're used to it, it takes only 5 to 10 minutes to decide whether you go with the meeting or not. So in terms of the what, we discussed about the types of the decisions. Is it operational? Is it commercial? If it is commercial, it is once a month. If it is the strategy meeting, it's a weekly. So basically in the weekly, you discuss the whole holistic view of the upcoming 3 months, let's say 1 year. The commercial meeting, you discussed what happened and what might happen, any risk involved, what was your failures, what was your success stories, let's say. You discussed the types of problems. It's all about the financial, operational, strategic, people, culture, something related to the talent acquisitions, market reputation, where do you stand in terms of the product positioning in the context of the hotel, let's say. Then you discussed, of course, the ideas. Now you are just breaking down the answer of the why into the what. So is it the existing ideas? Is it the new ideas? So you would like to decide the plan. Which kind of plan? Is it existing or already? Is it already existing? Is it new plan? So you need to decide whether these ideas are new, then plan accordingly. If it was ideas existing, you discussed previously, you didn't just, it was put on hold, now it's time to review it again. You see, let's say, possibility to leverage on the revenues, leverage on the commercial activities, so you bring it back again to the meeting. Types of the feedback, of course, it comes another topic. You need to hear your market, you need to hear what's going on with the competitors, because it's always all about two-way interface. You need to understand what's happening in the competition, what's happening with your customers, what's in the market. So we will break down. You will understand more in details while we go slide by slide. What's your corporate level activities, colleagues, owners, what's happening with the owner side, how was the last month's owners meeting? Do you need to understand something that needs to be bring down in the commercial meeting and discuss with your strategy meeting with the stakeholders in the commercial and strategy meeting? So moving forward, what application comes with the commercial decisions? And the commercial decisions applies with the review and assess of the KPIs. Now we are breaking down the what activities. Let's say rooms. So what kind of KPIs we do have in the rooms? From the revenue management perspective and the commercial lead perspective, you would like to see your actual revenues, what's happening. Then you would like to see what's your current revenues. Current meaning on the books plus the activity, actuals. And the outlook, of course. So actual revenues is year-to-date and month-to-date, quarter revenues. Is it doing well? Are you pacing behind? Current comes with the on the books plus actual revenues. And the outlook, of course, about the forecast. And this is one of the major part of the commercial activity, because you need to understand what's going to happen in the future. So before going into the meeting, you need to have all kind of information in place. You need to do all your predictive models in order to understand the future and to give the best, let's say, predictive model of your current business outcome, let's say. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year ahead, you need to forecast this one and decide. But it doesn't go it doesn't go as a KPI up until you don't put verses. Once you put the verses and you come up with the same time last year, what happened same time last year? What's your current KPIs compared to the last year actuals? What's your current KPIs compared to budget that you have set up in the first day of the year? What's the system recommendations, let's say? So KPIs, it doesn't mean what's happening with your hotel, but actually it means what's happened compared to something else. Last year, same time last year, budget, system recommendations. Does the system sees high demand, low demand? What is the current market, let's say, demand? You need to understand all this kind of stuff before you end up in the meeting, and you will get a lot of questions from the stakeholders you need to answer. So in another part of the room, so you discussed overall your hotel's performance. Next comes the benchmarking. And the benchmarking comes with the market information report. This is just examples. There are some thousands of reports that you can launch. STR reports. STR have a basic report that can understand, and everybody can understand, and you can explain the stakeholders where do you stand in terms of the revenue generation index. Are you doing well in terms of the occupancy? What's doing what are happening with your ADR? Are your rate is increasing compared to the same time last year? What's happening with your competitors? You can understand from the rankings. So it's all about KPI understanding, and that's why it answers the question what needs to be discussed. So once the GM is asking to you why you need and what needs to be discussed, you need to have all this information ready and accurate enough so you go to the meeting and have the best out of it. So there are other reports like Rate 360 where you can understand the pricing, your system pricing, what's going on. There are some other third-party, let's say, benchmark reports like the RevPAR metrics reports where you can understand your positioning as well. Demand 360, you can understand what's happening in the competition in terms of the demand. And of course, there are some other, as I told, third-party, let's say, reports where you can understand if you are out of the parity, if you have some issues in the online travel agencies. So this kind of reports is very much useful when you start to go through to go to the meeting, because you will have a lot of questions in the meeting because not everyone thinks like you. So basically you would like to generalize the ideas and consolidate to the meaningful insight, but actually it happens that in the real life, in the real business case, once you go to the meeting, once you head up in the meeting, there are a bunch of questions coming. Some of them doesn't make sense. You need to overcome these questions. Some of them will ask you to go more in details, more on micromanagement. So basically you need to have all these questions and you need to enhance, let's say, in your presentation skills on these kind of topics. So moving forward, we do have when. So you need to decide when you would like to have the meeting. So basically in terms of the meeting perspective, you need to understand the day of the week. Is the first week of the week, last day of the week, or midweek? So this is the question that you need to ask yourself. Occurrence, is it the bi-weekly, monthly, daily? So according to the level of importance that I told throughout all this presentation, you will understand that according to the level of importance, what you would like to deliver to the stakeholders, you will decide timing, occurrence, day of the week as well. So you need to have the little bit research, understanding. Okay, so for example, is the Monday is the good time for having the meeting? Is it afternoon? Is the perfect timing within the calendar? Is it suitable for everyone? So for example, early in the morning, is it afternoon or early in the morning? You need to understand the perspectives of other people. So you can be very much energetic and you come to the meeting, but the people have very much depressed, or early in the morning they had some, let's say, tough conversation with the customer or tough conversation with the owner, let's say. You need to understand the duration. This is very much, let's say, high perspective on the deciding overall the meeting, because it involves cost. Here you go. So let's apply. So application process, midweek or the last day of the week. So in a commercial meeting, basically if it is on the, let's say, first day of the month, let's say once the month is actualized, you would like to have it on the midweek or the last day of the week. Normally people tend to have, and then once you read the researches, people tend to have the first days of the week to be very much busy with them, covering the emails, reading all the emails that came throughout the weekend, let's say customer reviews. There are a lot of topics that involve operational things. That's why you would like to have these operations things cleared up from everyone's agenda, at least at minimum level, let's say 50%, then you can act accordingly. You will not get the, let's say, full attention of the people in the meeting while they are loaded with 95% with their emails and all other nonsense questions with the customers that makes their lives very much stressful. So last day of the week is also very good because people get relieved end of the week. So it is very good time for them to think properly and to have the decisions made effectively. Level of importance, ideal for once a week. So if it is a strategy meeting, you do it once a week, as I told, according to the importance level. The commercial meeting, you do once a month. Time, afternoon after the lunch is the better suitable for making the meetings, because early in the morning, people tend to have a lot of meetings. first. Second, as a commercial lead, you need to have everything in place in terms of the pricing, in terms of the revenue management, yield management activities that needs to be, it's very high priority. So you need to have the real life, real time changes on this before you go to the meeting, because you don't want to go to the meeting, discuss on the pricing while you didn't update your pricing. You just prepared the presentation and you're selling, for example, your competition is already changed the pricing on this within the 1 hour, and you are not aware about this topic, but you are talking in the meeting about the price sensitivity of, let's say, price topic. So that's why it is better to put after the afternoon, after the lunch break. Don't put before the lunch break, so people get very much stressful with them when they get to very much a little bit before the lunch. We get hunger, let's say in a humor way. So basically you need to put after the lunch. It is very much effective. A duration, 45 minutes, 1 hour is the max. I would prefer to go with 45 minutes. Sometimes it can go on the 1 hour and the 1 hour and 30 minutes. Depends on how many stakeholders you do have, how many departments, revenue streams department you're going to discuss. If you are commercial lead only for the rooms and F&B, it will take 45 minutes. If you extend to the spa and the golf area, let's say casino or the other parts, so basically it will take another 1 hour and 30 minutes. But moving forward, it should be very much suitable for everyone. So you need to check with all stakeholders before finding the exact time. It can suit for your schedule, but actually it is not, if it is not suitable for the GM, which is actually the leader in the topic and the conversation and the decision, which you need to have the decisions on the spot, you would like to change that one. It happens a lot of times. I will discuss in the best practices more in details. So meeting cost is the major topic here. So as I told, it is once you go to the meeting, it's not about 1 hour. So it is all about how many stakeholders you have, and you multiply that to the hours. So for example, if you have the 5 people, so it is actually 5 hours. It's not 1 hour. You think that you are blocking 1 hour, but actually it is 5 hours. And if you think from the payroll perspective and about the cost, for example, if you have a 2 sales manager, 4 account manager, and the 2 support, let's say admin, it will end up 340, let's say, US dollar per hour. Or manager meeting, it's about 300 per hour. And even higher management, it comes around 1,050. So you need to think about the level of importance. Again, to say topic, what kind of level of importance of them, what is the level of importance of the topic that you're going to discuss in the meeting that costs at that level. Basically, actually, basically for the commercial meeting is very much essential, because you're going to review all areas and decide on some points that will actually lead for the better revenue. But of course, you don't want to have for example, you discussed last meeting, there is no big changes from your meeting. Maybe you need to reconsider to cancel the meeting. It's not about if it is in the calendar, people tend to think as a habit, okay, if it is there, we need to go to the meeting. No, you need to decide. If you are a commercial lead, you need to understand these cost issues very much better than anyone else, let's say. Moving forward, who gonna present in the meeting? So this is another topic. So you need to define the stakeholders. Who are they? Level of importance again comes here, and reconsider the stakeholders. Maybe before you had the strategy meeting or commercial meeting, you had the head of the department, at the same time some managers. Maybe you don't need some other managers. So you reduce the cost of the meeting by sending them. You can have the head of the department who can later brief them in their one-to-one sessions in the 15 minutes briefing time. So once to apply, in terms of the stakeholders, I will just put it in concept here. So in terms of the hotel, let's take an example. You need to have the general manager in the middle of the head of the topic. You should have the commercial director or the director of revenue who is in charge of the overall the presentation of the life cycle of the meeting. You need to have the director of business development or the director of sales and marketing who is in charge of the sales activities. So some properties, they do have the director of marketing and communication separately, which I think is a very good idea, because nowadays marketing is getting more and more essence in the life of the hotels, in the life of everything actually. So you need to have this person on the board to understand where your strategies are going. So he needs to understand and give feedback from the customers that actually he is in contact. Director of finance, who needs to give some profitability and effectiveness, let's say, feedbacks, what is happening in terms of the numbers. He needs to understand what's upcoming on the 3 months. So he has an idea of some hotels, the director of finance, they even don't attend, but actually they need to attend. They need to understand what's going to happen in 3 months so they can understand. Of course, they're going to receive the forecast file or let's say the files later, but in the meeting, right, in the decisions process, it's very much essential. So you do have the director of catering and events, which is if it is a big, you do have the events, big events, the venues. You need to have who is applying the revenue management tactics and the pricing strategies. So he needs to be there as well. So this is one of the area that revenue generation department. Director of food and beverage, if it is the food and beverage department, the director, head of the department should be there and to give some highlights about the forecast and the current, let's say, trend of the outlets. If you have a spa, if it's extended, you can add on top of what's happening in terms of stakeholders. Moving forward, we will go through the where it needs to be happening. So basically, yes.
We do have a few questions.
Yes.
I think it will be appropriate if we will answer them in the beginning.
Yeah.
So our first question is from Ms. Bahar.
Mm-hmm.
Her first question, actually. What is the ratio, how much the time is spent to the history and to the future with the recommendations and engagement for the sales team? How the action plan per segment is input by the sales team, since this is the weakest point in the contribution.
Okay, so as far as I understood, thank you for the question. So basically, as I understood, we would like to understand what is the ratio of the timing to discuss with the sales. Did I understood correct?
Yes, the first question is related about the time, talking about the history, future, and the future recommendations.
Okay, so basically, you don't want to you need to actually spend around 25 minutes about the actuals and the history, let's say. You don't want to put yourself in the perspective discussing more about the actuals, like 65% of your presentation is all about the actuals, which is already done, but your future commercial activities didn't discuss, you didn't have time. And the attention, if within the 1 hour, if it goes up until the 1 hour, 45 minutes, the attention level, their level of the attention of the stakeholders is decreasing. So you don't want to load the people with the actual reports, actual history, more rather than you need to take actions, let's say, on the future. So that's why you need to reduce the historical and the actual, let's say, part of that presentation. That's why what I do personally, I have tried this before with the big chain. So basically, in some of the reports, I have tried that in the strategy meeting, what we were doing, we were discussing, let's say, 4 or 5 reports, 3 reports, let's say, from the history and the actual and the history current reports, let's say, and the rest, 65% and 75%, let's say, comes to the future. But even so, it was not very much effective. I can understand, I was feeling that it is not so very much effective right on the way, because most of the reports, let's say you divide 2 reports per week, let's say, but all these reports are very much interrelated. That's why you would like to discuss all of them together. So what I did in the new, my assignment in the current role, what we do have the commercial meeting once a month where we decide. We just go almost to 65%, more than the 50% of the discussion about what happened. You review all your historical data about segmentation, about what happened within that month whole as a structure. You take a note of your failures, not the failures, that's the mistakes, area of improvements, let's say in a good context, and you need to discuss what needs to be done in order to improve that. You take the actions, and from that action you can lead this, let's say, strategy to the strategy meeting, where you can just follow up, and in the next commercial meeting you can follow up as a big holistic view. Okay, guys, last meeting we had this much problems, this much area of improvements. We decided on these points, action plans, and in the now we are on the month of April. We had these processes in place, and we succeeded in, let's say, 4 out of 5, and we have again the area of improvement of 1 point, which we need to think more, and they come with action, new action plan. So I think, as I told, just summarize, put in a good context. Let's say it will be not more than the 25%. If you put in one meeting, both history and the reports, it will be almost 25% of your presentation. You don't want to overload the people with the history. Rather, you came to the meeting to decide something on the future, because people are very much interested, very much interested in the future, let's say, because it will decide your commercial, let's say, activities. How you do.
I wanted to add on your note as well, Jeyhun, regards to Ms. Bahar's question. Obviously, it depends from the person, their own behave and own personality, how to conduct, how to take a time, and etc. You do go some meetings, although it's very interesting, however, it's drowning you with the loads of the information, with the loads of statistics, with the loads of so many items that I'm not saying it's not interested, it is interested, but wouldn't reach you somewhere. So what I do personally that I can advise as well, especially with the operational team and the sales team on top of them, that I do have one-on-one meeting first. If I may put it in the 3 stages. The first stage, if I have something in my mind before I say, I do like to meet with the related head of department 101 to speak about it over the coffee or over the tea, and to see the ideas, precautions, positive, negative signs, and all other alternatives that may affect, whether it's positive or negative. When I gather the information, second stage, what I do is that I collect the information and I try to see if others are in the same opinion. So out of 10 people, let's say, I see that 7 or 8 are positive, 1, 2 are showing resistance, which we can, how should I say it right, which we can solve it properly. But on the third meeting, which I call it meeting, proper meeting itself, so there we are doing the proper strategical meeting. In this strategical meeting, we're not talking about what already had been spoken. We're already putting the agenda and proper plan of action. This helps by participants, by everyone, not to talk about the history, not to talk about the future analysis, since everyone in the rooms knows about it. So we put the plan of action, and how this plan of action will take a time, proper project management wise, and this is a more effective way so far that I had seen, and I wanted to share it with you. Hope it will be beneficial. Thank you.
Good. In terms of the sales activities, I think that, yeah, as I agree with the Najat as well, it's always you need to understand your stakeholders. If your stakeholders are very much well educated, let's say in a good context, let's say, very much you already put them in the concept of understanding the numbers. It doesn't take your time as usual as before. Before, maybe you started the meeting, you need to explain everything, what is the new ideas coming, what is the KPIs you're gonna discuss. Compare your predecessor, who used to have in this position. So after 4 or 5 meetings, they used to it. And of course, in between, before they go into the meeting, you have the chit chats and you always discuss, and you need to learn the expectations of the people. So you need to understand what's the expectation of the sales out of this meeting, what's the expectation of general manager. It cannot be the same. So you need to gather all these expectations before the meeting. As I told you, it's a life cycle, and you need to decide where you need to put these expectations in your presentation. While jumping back to the presentation, so basically it comes with the office building, it's just physical place, or the digital meeting room that we started to use currently more often. So going again to the same topic, level of importance. You need to understand if what is the level of the importance of your message while deciding this meeting. Maybe you need to have a digital meeting room where you need to decide, let's say, with the sales before the strategy meeting, rather than bring that topic to the commercial meeting or the strategy meeting and discussed almost the 1 hour and 30 minutes. And it's just bouncing back again and again, and there are other conversations opening, so it doesn't make very much effective. So where the answer to the question of where is also very much important. How? So basically this is the whole context that we have discussed, you put in a puzzle. So we see here the puzzles, you see it, and you come up with all the processes. So you choose the 3 objectives or maximum 3 objectives, consolidate the insights. So before during this life cycle, you go to you need to understand the expectation of each stakeholders. You gather the information from them. You gather your information, what you would be using that is very much valuable for the business point of view, business opportunity point of view. Then you do the proper analysis. You need to have very good skills in order to analyze the reports and understand the numbers in proper way. You need to very much familiarize yourself with some of the tools that is very much updated, up to date. You don't want to go with the old style tools that takes a lot of time with a lot of numbers. You need to consolidate everything in one place in order to give the meaningful insights. Prepare the presentation as per level of the importance. You need to understand again level of importance, and you prepare the presentation accordingly. If there is no need to the meeting, you don't need to prepare the presentation. Or sometimes you guys just send the presentation pack, just giving the updates. They are all just it's for your reference. We didn't have any big changes, so we will discuss in our next meeting some more important topics, and these topics are as follows. You just put in a list. Of course, you will use the graphs to illustrate everything in a better way. The numbers sometimes can be very much drawing. And limit the slides. Of course, you don't want to end up with 50, 60 slides, which takes a lot of time. And up until you end up to the F&B, let's say, section, it's almost done, and people are not very much interested, and you can just, your attention level is very down, and you can just ignore the actually one of the big revenue stream of the hotel and its performance. Action of the 5W, which I say in the answering of the how model. So applying. So what we have here, we do have the objective, as I told. It is the pack. Now we are doing in the pack. By end of the presentation, you need to always start with these words and to give them inside that, okay, this is the context that I'm drawing for you. This is the context. So otherwise, if you don't give that objective within it is just the rules before. It's because once you end up in the meeting room, you are going through the teams forming process. In the teams forming process, you need to have this objective in place. So once something is getting very much complicated, let's say discussions, you have the way to go back and say, okay, guys, today we are here because of this, but we just went to this topic. Can we go back and discuss? That's why it's very much important topic to put in the context of the objective. So cover photo, you need to have very much inspirational cover photo. I think that this is one of the best practices that I have used and I have seen, giving some inspirational messages before going to the meeting. You send with the cover photo, put the cover photo in your presentation as well, so it gives you some kind of understanding of the message that you're going to deliver in the meeting. So in the agenda, it should be well structured, not very much, not very low, so less. And so you need to put 5, 6 points that you're going to discuss. Meeting minutes from the last time, that from your last meeting, what you have discussed, date and time of the meeting as well, illustrated in the first part of the meeting. So once you move to the next level, so you do have the analysis of the KPIs for 3 months, full year, year to date, and month to date, as per need, as I discussed. It is not the must that you need to put every information there. So if you discuss the, let's say, full year review from the last time, you don't need to discuss every time. So for example, if there is a drastic changes, you discuss. So basically what the stakeholders, they are most of their expectation to understand what we are doing currently now, what's our current outlook for the 3 months. So it's 3 months, it comes very much the closer look, because you can understand the trends, you can understand and feel the trends rather than the feeling the December as of now. So that's why the 3 months is very much first KPIs, and the full year to date, as I told, gives you segment level overview as it is the pie charts, major changes compared to the same time last year. That's why, as I told, versus the word putting the once you put the versus same time last year versus budget, it gives you KPI. It doesn't mean that you just put the occupancy, your rooms revenue. If you don't compare it with something else, with your past performances as a hotel, as the division, it doesn't give you a sense of the KPI. So you need to discuss in every meeting. So this is the one part. Moving to the benchmark part, because you discuss your hotels, let's say, hotel level, what's happening in your hotel, but you need to understand what's happening in the market. Okay, maybe you are doing good, but actually you might get much more revenue out of there. There are more opportunities out of there, maybe you missed. That's why we need the benchmark report. That benchmark report that I discussed before, you draw the conclusion and you put in every meeting, like STR, RevPAR metrics reports, positioning reports, as well as the pricing as well. So for example, in the strategy in place, you don't want to load the people with them with all revenue management, let's say, capabilities, let's say your capabilities. It's all about the pricing, demand, supply restrictions. You just give the snapshot. So, okay, we are in the month of, let's say, June. Okay, guys, see, we do have you can have the Excel charts. You need to have always maximum three reports that can give whole information. Don't have manual reports. Make usage of the Excel, make usage of the creative business intelligence reports. So to show always the technological advantage, which will give you data-based decision making. It's not only that emotional. So once you have the revenue management system plus all these tools in place and the skills that you have in place, you can always do the very good presentation and do the decision on the spot. And in that, in context, in the strategy part, you don't want to load the people with all this information. You just give, okay, currently we are ranging over about occupancy of the, let's say, 65%. We are forecasting to have this much. Okay, we do have the restrictions on these days. You need to highlight. It's all about highlighting the information that nobody sees or tend to ignore. You just highlight these areas to the sales, to the general manager, to the finance. Okay, what's happening in this month, maybe not in months, upcoming months, maybe after the, let's say, you do have the events happening in October, you need to highlight any pickup there and giving the snapshot, not like going into detail, but you should have everything in place. Once there is a question pops up, you have the tool there, so you can present that in the real time. Moving to the next question, it's all about the two additional high important, let's say, analysis you need to bring down. So basically, it's not the actual reports. In the strategy meeting, you will discuss something that's actually related to the actual reports, but actually you need to take a plan accordingly. For example, profile production. You discuss in the commercial meeting, you need to bring that to the let's say, to the strategy meeting, discussing, okay, guys, last time we discussed about the account production report. In account production report, we do have 30% of our accounts is losing accounts. Okay, we have identified these 30% of our losing account. Did we do any actions plan? Okay, we see that 70% of our accounts is the new accounts. At what extent we are dependent on the new accounts or the existing accounts? So these kind of questions will open the conversation that will lead some kind of decisions that will directly have the impact on your business performances. So there are some other reports that I will not just count: room type production, channel analysis, other benchmark reports. Once a month you bring to the table and you just discuss. Market insights, it's about, from the sales side, you have 3 or 4 slides from the sales, anything happening in the house from the sales perspective, projects in the towns, tenders. They need to be always very much alerted about what's happening in the market. So this is the first contact point that the sales needs to give you all the insights, and you should be also very much active. The commercial lead, let's say, is not the person who is sitting in the office and is not listening to the market. You should always have the Google alerts in place, putting, let's say, the city name and or the event's name. Once something happening in the city, you hear the first, apart from the market insights from the sales. FMB snapshot, you just review the 3 months, year-end, every meeting you just go through. Let's say, let's take in a normal hotel context, you discuss rooms and FMB. In the SPA, if you would like to add the SPA, you do have the SPA as well. Of course, if there is a marketing in the meeting, in the commercial meeting, for example, once in a month, you would like to have the director of marketing giving some insights about what's happening in the digital, let's say, platforms. So Facebook reach, what is the click-through, what is our bounce rate. They need to have also very much sophisticated, let's say, KPIs, dashboards, which really gives you real-time illustrations what's happening with your current business process. Instagram followers, like, so you need to discuss this once in a month. It's enough to go through. So you don't need to discuss every time. So moving forward, so you prepare this in a pack and you just send this as a presentation. So the another section of the application, 5W, you prepare the pack. Sorry, I just mistyped there. So during the process of the preparation of the presentation, you need to have the pre-preparation reviews. So it's all about the understanding expectation of the people before you create anything, because you can prepare something, but GM is interested in different. That's why always you should have the very much close relationship with general manager, talk time to time, what's his vision, what he would like to see. And you will understand time to time what's your general manager. He's a financial guy, he's most on the, let's say, operational side, and you will find out way to, let's say, to bring the table most valuable information. Then you send a presentation and you do have the pre-meeting engagement. This place I call the chit chat. Let's say, well, now you go to the sales office, you go to the marketing, having some insights, saying that, okay, I've sent the pack. Do you have any other ideas? What do you think? Okay, so just having some relationship between you are going to the meeting. Okay, you need to analyze the sentiment analysis. So you're just making the analysis of predictions of the conversation that might end up in the meeting. At the same time, it's a better way to build up the relationship before going to the meeting. At the same time, to understand the pulse of the people. They are stressed. Is it something wrong? Maybe he's not feeling good. So you need to understand on the spot once you go to the meeting. One day ahead, you send the pack. You prepare yourself. This is another part. You prepare yourself another 2 hours, 1 hour to prepare, go through again, double check, triple check. You go to the old analysis. You don't want to end up with some mistakes in your reporting. It might happen. It happened to me. Nobody is perfect, but you need to understand how to reduce this risk, reduce this, let's say, level of the mistakes. Early setup, you need to boom to the meeting room. You just go to the meeting room. You need to be before 50 minutes before, and you put in the email as well the Outlook calendar. You send everyone to all what we have discussed. You put the alert 30 minutes or 15 minutes before. You show up in the room before everyone else show up. You sit and you start with your objective. Of course, there is some best practices that's involved, which is actually one part of the major part of the, let's say, of your presentation. And this best practice is actually the whole process involved to the 5W and 1H. So here you go. We will just share one moment. I will just drag this one. Okay. So it's always, as I told, asking the right question. As I told, you need to understand level of importance and the the question that you need to ask yourself before going to the meeting. Why I need this question? Simple, but at the same time, very much essential question. Define the level of importance of the meeting. As we talked already, have a one-to-one chit chat with the stakeholders beforehand to define the expectations, analyze their expectations, minimize information load while preparing. So you don't want to load with all the information. Sometimes we tend to put these graphs, maybe I would like to put the channel statistics, maybe I need to discuss. No, you need to stuck to your 3 objectives. Go back to, again, once you just overloaded, go back to the 3 objectives that you have decided. Use common sense. It's not very much easy, believe me. Sometimes it is not, most of the time it is not very good. It's not very much easy to use that with the people who don't have that. You will face these kind of people in your meeting room, so you need to be very much ready to deal with this kind of non-common, let's say, senses. Keep it simple. Keep it simple is best, so I will not go into deep. So it is, you need to understand how the graphs needs to be very much presentable. Add inspiration cover photo, as I told. Don't make it very much boring. People already bored with their day-to-day jobs. You need to make something different, feel them very much happy that they come to the meeting with to put more benefits. Use business-related presentation templates, not to put the funky templates. You use something kind of very much modern version of the, let's say, templates. Use graphs, diagrams, charts, Excel templates, reports, which is very much essential. I think this is the must. You cannot do numbers and just go number, columns, rows. It doesn't give you data because you will have all kinds of stakeholders in your meeting, like this kind of KPI dashboards. Okay, 3 months, how it shows, what is the segmentation, what it looks like compared to the last year. Let's say it is a budget, let's say the 3 months view, and then under the graph it shows compared to the last year, compared to the budget, compared to the, I don't know if you have other indications like the same time last year. So moving forward, enhance the effectiveness through BI tools like the Tableau, Microsoft BI tools, so they use that tools, which is very much advanced. If you have, most of the corporate companies, big change, they do have these tools. Do not overuse, of course you are using, but at the same time you don't want to overload in the presentation. You are doing the presentation, question came, you just go from there, from here, from there, and once you find out it's almost 20 minutes, you would like to investigate. Maybe you need to tell you need to answer to the question like, can I get back to you later? It is the perfect answer for you, because you can calculate the times that will be spent, you're gonna spend during the presentation to answer this question. It's more than the 5 minutes, no need to answer that question at that point. You can put in on the later stage. Be straight to the point when generalizing, so you don't go to like answering different questions, but actually the question was different. Be ready for any kind of question. So you will have, if your general manager is very much number oriented, you will have a lot of questions. If he is background from the commercial lead, believe me, he will be challenging you at most, which is I do have. And I do have in my place, my general manager is from the area, he was the area general manager in the Hiltons, and he's very much on the revenue management, he's from the backup. He always challenges with the questions, of course, to make it, increase the effectiveness in the meeting, to understand how to deal with some kind of information, where you can learn at the same time from experience. At the same time, you need to be very much sure on your numbers. You don't want to be embarrassed in front of everyone. Send the pack one day ahead and engage. Start to engage, ask the questions, talk during the lunch, maybe some chit chat over that period. Do not load yourself trying to remembering everything, okay? Because it's just goes loading information. You don't need to remember budget numbers. People tend to say, okay, I need to remember the budget number for this month. No. The tools is there to help you, to assist you. These laptops, these tools, Excel tools, or any kind of tools of predictive modeling that you are doing, all these processes are for you, to help you to utilize. It is not there, you load your memory with the information which makes you overloaded. Get ready to the presentation, be organized, always be on time, bring your stuff with you and with your notes from the last meeting. Try to go digital copies rather than the print version. Find stress relief method if you have some kind of stress. Maybe you can have something, let's say, motivational video before that. Okay, or maybe you can just discuss with have a fun or joke with the director of sales or who are always having some kind of jokes from the market, let's say. You can discuss with them before having this deep breathe before the meeting. Inspect the meeting rooms. Of course, this is very much to the comfort of the presentation. If you go to the meeting room, lights is not there, you cannot feel that you are presenting very quality of the presentation. Internet is slow, maybe you don't have the cable in place, you don't have the access to the shared drive where you're gonna show you one of the review reports. So you need to be very much sure that everything in place. That's why 15 minutes, 20 minutes before you go to the meeting, you set up with the projector, set up with the extending screen to the projector to the wall. Second is adjusting the temperature to the room temperature to have everyone to feel that it's meal temperature. It is for the comfort of the room. If they are comfortable, they're gonna come with the, let's say, valuable decisions rather than it will get more stressed, and which I have already had this experience before. Moving forward, turn off your Outlook email, which is very much topic. Sometimes you discuss something and something pops up there. Somebody from your team is sending to you something, or head of the department from another department sending something to you. It's just popping up from the screen every time. Close your business card, WhatsApp, web, Facebook, and others. If any kind of application that you have in place, close all of them, make the quality of your presentation. Have a chit chat before the meeting, as I told. This is during the meeting. This is a team forming process. It's a well-known process. That's a team forming. You just come within this 15 minutes that you prepared. Director of sales is showing up, or some from directors from another department that are showing up. Just try to talk to them, bring some sweets, maybe just make some coffee before that, just to have an espresso before having that conversation. Get some energy, get very much positive. It is not like burden. You need to feel that this is something that where you need to show off. It's actually, think about from this different perspective. You need to understand that the whole week, nobody sees you as in front, but this is the only place in the commercial meeting or the strategy meeting you show the value. That's the value of the commercial lead or the revenue director in the organization. Why the organization needs that. Okay, so we talked about this. Be on time, use time wisely. You don't want to use, we talked about this, time going faster. Do not take hostage. This is very much topic. You have someone in the presentation. Doesn't make sense to keep him hostage. Maybe he's a director of, let's say, sales manager. He's director also there. Okay, no need to him to stay there. He leaves and does any other opportunities out there in the market. Or your director of F&B already discussed his points. He's in a hurry. It is very much useful that you just let him go, and that's why you don't want them to be as a hostage in your presentation. Leverage engagement through the questioning. Always you need to ask the question. It's not about the one-man show. You came there to get the feedback. Two-way interface. Always remember this. Two-way interface not only applicable in the systems, but yeah, it is applicable in the question and the reasoning. Change your voice of time to time. Eye contact, effective body language. These topics you know better than me. Have a ready first page of the presentation. You don't want to put the last page of the presentation. Get everything ready. First page, you are ready to go. People feel that energy. Your cover photo, the quote from someone well-known, which inspires them. If they, for example, you have the risks, something related to risk of there is opportunity out of in the market you would like to discuss in the meeting, put quote from the opportunity. If you are doing the online, let's say, meeting, which is very much applicable today, use approved programs such as WebEx, Zoom, Teams. Check your internet, share the screen, voice, video, everything should be in place to make out of the best out of the meeting. So you don't want to have your voice not coming from the the microphone, video is not showing, you are not sharing your screen, so you need to be very much equipped. Let's say, give some explanation how to use the program. Not everyone is very much handy with the programs, some of the programs. So you need to understand the generation type. So some of the people in their generation can be the generation from the baby boomers, some of them millennials, some of them maybe can happen from the generation Z. So you need to understand some technical stuff can be very much applicable for you, but maybe your general manager is not very much up to date to the technology. So you need to update them during the meeting as well about the process. Do not use distracting background. Have a secluded office with needed equipment if you are doing in the home office. And the last ones, let me show you the action plans. Record all action plans. This is very much essential part because sometimes we tend to talk a lot. Once everything finished, we don't have an action plan. You need to come back always to the action plans. And these action plans relates to your top priorities. Okay, and you define the deadlines. Action plan with deadlines, it doesn't make any value. Always refer to the top priorities, roadmap for the year. So in the beginning of the year, you need to define roadmap for the year. Okay, first of the year, you launch your roadmap. The key areas that we as a hotel, as a commercial team, we will be concentrating. Top 9 priorities in your roadmap. Okay, top 9 priorities. What is your top 9 priorities for this year? So this roadmap should be always with you. It's like your table book. Is always with you in whole strategy meeting, in whole commercial meetings. Roadmap really defines what you're gonna do in all your strategy meeting, in all your decisions. Otherwise, you will be looking sometimes to the upselling. On the other point, you look to the F&B, but actually it is not your top priority. Maybe you need to concentrate on the area of improvement, which is actually bleeding revenue. So bleeding is really very much essential part of your commercial activities. Do not let distraction. You are the leader, so you need to just, if there is a conversation that taking to something about the jobs, of the conversation that's nothing related to your 3 objectives or 2 objectives or the objective of the meeting, you need to control the meeting. Give some space for the humor when needed. When you feel that everybody is stressed, you just jump up with the humor. It helps a lot. Believe me, I have used this a lot and it's very much effective. Give some space for him. Okay, this is the misleading, so it's another mistake. So you need to always check the presentation before you send. This is for the recap for the meeting points. Ask for feedback. So once you finish, you record the action plans and you need to recap the meeting points. Okay, team, we discussed these points. We assigned this deadline. Maybe you mistyped something, like I mistyped here. So that's why you need to always recap with the stakeholders. You don't want to end up with the deadline that's actually after 2 months, you put it to the next meeting and says, director comes and you have another conversation in the meeting, which you don't want to end up. Check if everyone is okay with the next meeting time. Okay, you schedule everything, everybody knows, but maybe always think, what if something changed in the life of them, maybe in the hotel, maybe next week is very much busy, you are running 99%, operation teams needs to be there, GMs is very much highly involved to the process as well. Maybe you need to schedule or cancel meeting. So that's why I always think, ask people if they are okay with the next meeting. Send meeting afterwards. Once finished, you send the meeting minutes, what you have recorded, and send reminder of the meeting minutes during the week. So during the week, you send a reminder, hey team, I have sent you the meeting minutes because it is weekly meeting. If strategy meeting is the weekly meeting, time flies like just in the speed of light. So that's why once finished, you send the meeting minutes, everything recorded, telling them, okay guys, here is the meeting minutes. After 3 days, 2 days, you just remind them, we have discussed this, be prepared, which we will discuss in the meeting for the action point. I think this is the major best practices. You might have all your best practices. This is what I have encountered some of the time. For example, I had the experience in my past experience. Let's say the general manager was from the chef background. He doesn't understand anything. You need to bring this person, and he's very much, it happens that he was very much rude. You need to bring this person to the context of the meeting to understand that this is not culinary. This is not the kitchen. You need to explain him how the numbers are affecting. Believe me, some of the big chains, even they do have this kind of leaders in their team. It doesn't fit to the whole team as a leader, let's say. That's why you need to be very much ready, all kind of conversation, not related to your things, not related to your commercial decisions. You are the leader, you need to, that's why you call the commercial lead or the director of revenue. I don't love to call director of revenue, but this is the well-known positions, let's say, in the context of the hotel industry. With that being said, I think that was the last slide. So I have them. If you have any questions, so feel free to ask. We do have our social media channels where you can subscribe. As far as I know, everyone here, they do have their experiences. I managed to get the presentation 1 hour and 11 minutes is taking into consideration there's some questions. So as I thought, time is very much essential. Whole topic is all about the time. If the time moves within your presentation, your attention level will go down. So that's why it is always best to reduce that. Thank you.
Question, we have it from Ms. Bahar again.
Yeah.
It's about how would you recommend to conclude the meeting, to wrap up and leave, or give the instruction and get the commitment from each responsible person for accomplishment.
Okay, so I will just go back a little bit. So record action plans is that actually it happens during that period. Once you finish your slides, you discussed everything, crucial points, you had a very crucial engagements with your general manager, you take action on the revenue side, let's say, you had a crucial topic, very much tough topic, let's say, discuss with the sales, on the account production, let's say, you report that one. The general manager, you need to always engage the general manager to the topic to decide, because he is the one who will decide what's going to happen with this certain of commercial activity, because it's always the approvals process. So once during that period, last 10 minutes, let's say, even the 5 minutes, you can record these action plans during the meeting and you just recap with the people. Okay, let's say Mr. Director of sales, let's say we have talked about this topic. We have agreed with all of you that we will go through all our new accounts and we decide what is the high possibility to get out of this, let's say 5 accounts that we see that they're going to grow in the market. So action plan for these, for example, sales managers to get in contact with these people and to understand the tender that they're going to launch in the next months, and to have the calls with them and to visit them and do some site inspection, and deadline for that, for example, let's say after 2 meetings. You give them very much measurable time, so very much time that's actually make feasible. So you don't want to give something as a process is a 3 months or as a process is a 2 months, you assign for the next meeting. Doesn't make sense. Every time you will just bounce back and talk this topic again and again. During that, the record action plans and the recap process. This is the process that's the last 5-10 minutes according to what you have recorded. You decide what you need to, what the stakeholders needs to do, and you assign for each one. It is not you gonna do the topic, so you need to assign. Okay, this is for you, Mike. This is for you, James. This is for you, for example, director of F&B for this topic, and you record in the timing and the presentation date and the attendees in the attendance sheet, and the first page, second page, topics that discuss and the deadlines and the action plans in place. You create this as a PDF file and you send to them. This is the process. Okay, any other questions?
Jeyhun, that's it. We don't see any other questions so far.
Okay, good.
So I believe we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I think again the main discussion over this topic that was that how to make effective commercial and strategy meetings. You are the leader of your division. You need to understand your business better than anyone else. So you decide how the whole life cycle of the one meeting will be happening. It's not about the meeting in the physical room. it's the life cycle process from day one up until the meeting ends and the wrap up, and it's just always like chain reaction goes throughout the process. With that being said, that's it. I guess we will meet in our next meeting. We will also announce the next webinar on later stage. Thank you very much. Thank you for the joining, and hope you have enjoyed and had some benefits out of this. Thank you very much.